Hey friends, welcome back to another Freebie Friday. This week we have another tutorial versus a pattern, but I saw this on Instagram and I absolutely loved it. It's so cute and I thought it would be perfect for the festive season coming up. It is an egg-shaped pot holder. It's quilt as you go. It's super easy and I cannot wait to get it started. So what you are going to need is 2-inch strips of fabric. You can use scrap fabric or anything you want, but you kind of want it to be fun and Eastery, something cute to go with an Easter egg. So you'll need some 2-inch strip fabric. You'll need some Insulbright, a 10 by 10 piece of Insulbright. Insulbright is what protects your countertops from the heat of the pan. I will link this in the description so that you can find it on Amazon if you want some. And then the Insulbright recommends putting some batting with it. So if you have some extra batting laying around, go ahead and add that. If not, I think it's okay because you're not touching it. But the batting just adds another level of heat protection. So 10 by 10 of that, and then a 10 by 10 piece of your backing fabric. So whatever you're going to use for the back of your pot holder. And then you're going to want a rectangular strip for your bias binding. And then you're going to want either an egg-shaped template, you can just download like a coloring page, or a piece of scrap paper to make your own egg-shaped template. And then we're going to add in a cute little flower applique. So you're going to want some lightweight sewable HeatnBond Iron On Adhesive. I'll link that in the description as well. And we also have a video showing how to do applique if you want some more tips on that. But okay, so if you use a coloring page, you can skip this step. If not, you're going to want to fold your paper in half, hot dog length, and you're just going to want to cut out a rough egg shape. You can trace this out first if you want to, or just go for it. I'm just going for it. Make sure that it's wider at the bottom and kind of not pointed, but just smaller at the top, because I did this a lot and it looked more rectangular. If it's not quite egg shaped, go ahead and round it out where you need to, or fix it, whatever you need to do to make it more of an egg. Okay, so once you have your egg template done, again, based on what you do, you can, vary the size on it. You are going to now want to take your egg template and your Insulbright. So the stuff that keeps your counters from getting too hot. And we're just going to want to trace around the template onto the Insulbright using, I use a heat pen that the marks go away when you heat it up. But because it's going to be on the inside, if you want to use like a washable marker or something, you totally can. Up to you. But you're just going to want to trace all the way around because this is going to be your guideline of where to sew your strips on. Okay, now that we got that all traced on, what we're going to do is we're going to layer our pieces. So you're going to take your bottom, so the back side of your pot holder, and you're going to put it right sides down. And then you're going to put your batting, if you're using that, and then your Insulbright on the very top. Okay, now what we need to do is take one of our strips and cut out a 2 by 2 square. So you're just going to want to measure your 2-inch strip up 2 inches and cut, just a 2 by 2 square. And then you're going to take that square and turn it on its side so it's more a diamond shape, and we're going to put it on the bottom of our egg shape. Okay, so yeah, you can see here it needs your square needs to be in a diamond shape when you sew it on, and then you're just going to sew along the bottom part of that there. Now that we have the bottom part on, we're going to take one of our strips and we are going to put the short end along one of the sides of our diamond, and then we're just going to sew about a 1/4 inch along those two raw edges. All right, you're going to want to sew a little bit past where the egg outline is and then cut off a little bit extra fabric than what you think you need. And then we're just going to go ahead and keep building up our strips like this. So taking the short edge and lining it up with the top of our new raw edge, the new fabric that we just put on, and just going down a little bit past our egg shape and then trimming more than our egg shape. That way your fabric is going past your egg. You're going to want this later when we trim it around. So just go ahead and keep doing this and build up those fabric strips. Each strip will go longer and longer as you go. You'll add more and more. So yeah, just keep going, 1/4 inch seam allowance, adding on those strips the same way, and yeah, we'll build up our Easter egg. Okay, so now that our egg shape is almost all covered, I have this little bit left, so I'm going to add one more strip in. But once your egg shape is your outline is all covered, you are done with adding your strips, and we are going to move on to the next part. All right, our strips are all added and it's all set to do the next part. We're going to press those seams down so that they're not too bulky or standing up on us. And then what we're going to do is take our egg template, and the square that we had at the bottom, we're now going to flip it around, and that is going to be at the top of our egg. Now you're going to want to make sure that your egg template is centered on your fabric so that your fabric is completely surrounding the template. And then you're just going to want to go ahead and trace around that shape again. I used a washable marker here. I do not recommend that in case you have to move your lines, which I did later. And I had a panic moment, but thankfully it was washable and I got it mostly out. But definitely use a Frixion pen if you have one. We've traced our shape on. What we're going to do is we're just going to go through and add a little bit more quilting to help keep those seam allowances down. So the quilting I just followed a 1/4 inch past the seam allowance. So instead of stitching in the ditch, I kind of did it just a 1/4 inch past, just to give it a little bit more layers and a little bit more dimension. But you can totally do this however you want. You can stitch in the ditch, you can add some cute little curly cues, however you want to quilt it. I just went with something quick and easy, So another thing, you can just use straight stitch on this. You don't need to worry about anything else, but I do recommend back stitching. Otherwise your quilting might come out later. Really, with the quilting, this isn't necessary. You don't have to do this, but this is just a fun time to add something a little bit unique and special to your egg and your pot holder, and just, yeah, have fun with it. Do something fun, Eastery, do whatever you want. Now that we've added some cute quilting to our pot holder, we're just gonna press it again just to make sure nothing's wonky and all our seams are laying nice and flat. And then we get to do an exciting thing. We just get to cut around our egg shape. And then once our egg is all cut out, we get to prep our applique pieces. So you're going to go ahead and take your iron-on adhesive, and you are going to draw the shape of a flower and the little round part if you want. I did mine off camera because you do not want to watch me spend time trying to draw a flower. It is a nightmare. But now that you've got it traced onto your iron-on adhesive, again, HeatnBond light sewable, I love that stuff. What we're going to do is we are now going to attach it to our fabric. So you are going to lay it right side, lay it to the wrong side of your fabric and iron that on. Any fabric you want, you can make this fun. This is the part where you really get to, again, the whole thing you get to make unique, but you get to add your own touch to this. Okay, and then once we lay it on, we're just gonna press it down just to activate that adhesive. Okay, now what we need to do is we just need to cut those pieces out. Now that they've been ironed on, the adhesive is on there, we're just going to cut around our trace pieces. Okay, and then once our pieces are cut out, we are going to do this in layers. So we're going to take our flower layer first because that's our bottom layer, and we are going to find a good spot that we like it on our pot holder. I made sure mine was outside of where the binding is going to be, but you can totally put it in the binding area if you want. Anything, wherever you want. It's a cute little thing. And then just press it down to activate that adhesive again. And then we're just going to go to our sewing machine and just sew around the applique piece. You can do a straight stitch, you can do a blanket stitch, you can do a zigzag stitch, any stitch you want. Just make sure you sew around it the entire piece. I like to sew around my applique pieces 2 or 3 times using a straight stitch, just to make sure I really get right to the edges and I get the whole thing. And then plus it kind of gives it a little look like I drew my applique stitches on, which I kind of like that too. So, but yeah, you're just going to want to make sure to stitch all the way around that flower applique piece. All right, and now that our flower is stitched on, we need to add the little middle part, the pollen part, I don't know. I don't know what to call it. The middle part of our flower. So just go ahead and press that on to activate the adhesive again, and then sew around it 2 or 3 times. If you're using a straight stitch, any kind of stitch you want, however many times you feel comfortable, you do you. Okay, so the main part of our pot holder is done and it is looking so cute. I'm so excited. Now comes the fun part. We get to make bias binding. Bias binding is actually not so bad once you know how to do it. It's pretty simple, but you need to make sure you cut it at an angle. So you're going to want to take your rectangle and lay it out and find a 45-degree angle. And you're just going to go ahead and cut your fabric at a 45-degree angle. And then you're going to decide how wide you want your bias binding. I made mine 2 inches, just like my strip, but you could do 1.5 inches. Smaller would be fine. But so then you're going to go off of that angle that you just cut, the 45-degree angle, and you're going to measure the width of your bias binding. And as you can see, the reason why we cut it like this is it gives it a little bit of stretch, which is nice for going around curves. It'll help us get a really nice curve versus if it had been just cut as regular binding, then it wouldn't have any stretch to it. So I'm going to cut out 2 strips because I'm not sure if my first strip was big enough. But yeah, just again, at that 45-degree angle, measure how wide you want it. And then since I cut 2 strips, I am going to even out the ends. Even if you didn't cut 2 strips, even out the ends. You're going to want to square them out, just get rid of that little triangle bit there by making sure they're nice and straight, and then just cutting off the little excess bit that's not the width of your binding. Do that on both pieces if you cut out more than one like I did. Okay, and then once our ends are all squared up, what we're going to do is, if you use 2 like me, we are going to attach them together. So I like to put them so that I sew at an angle. So put the one short raw side against a long raw side, and you're just going to sew it at a 45-degree angle, and then trim up the excess about 1/4 inch. And then you're going to want to just lay those seam allowances flat and press them nice and flat, and then you get a nice continuous piece that doesn't have like a straight line block in it. But okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to lay our pot holder down so that the back side of our pot holder is up, and we're going to tuck in an end of our bias about 1/4 inch, and just go ahead and pin that now all the way around our egg shape. Okay, once we get back to where we started, we're going to trim off some excess. And here I decided to fold it over again, but I don't think you needed to do that. It's probably a little excessive, but I just folded it over again. So now what we're going to do is we are going to sew around the binding a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, now that our binding is all attached, we are going to flip it around to the front. And then once it's all flipped around, we're going to fold it in so that it's folded in half, and then fold it down so that it's against. So the raw edge is tucked in now to the binding, and then we're folding it down so that it's kind of folded in half. against the top of our pot holder. Making sure that those raw edges that we tucked in are nice and folded still, and then you're just going to go all the way around, folding in the binding and then clipping it. Okay, now once it's all folded over, we are going to sew right along the edge of our binding, about 1/8 of an inch. We're going to just edge stitch right along there to attach our binding to the front of our pot holder. There you have it, y'all. It is done. This is so cute. A quick, easy, festive little pot holder piece. And I love that you could really customize this to any season. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I did, and I will see you next Freebie Friday. Thanks again for watching, and if you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe. See you later. Bye.